Yannick Bisson! Thank you. Great to see you. How are you?
Doing well. You're welcome.
What's happening? I'm always, oh, look at these fancy shoes.
Stop that.
I like those. Look, I'm always thankful to have you on the program, because I know you're not a big fan of being
Great to
interviewed.
be here. It's
you know?
great to be here. I'm a very nervous person about speaking in public,
Okay.
and I'm glad it's my second time.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Can I ask you a question about that? When someone's nervous of being in public, what they don't do is put their wife and daughters in the front row. What are you doing? They're right... Now I'm gonna get you to say stuff, and then...
I know.
They're gonna be right there.
I know. And then I'll, like, get choked up, and one of them will go, oh, and then I'll really lose it.
So make sure he cries, okay? That's the goal, make sure he cries. Tell me about the kids' show. This is fantastic. I love this. This is Adventures of Napkin Man.
Okay, so you've heard the saying, you gotta do things that scare you.
Right.
Singing, acting with children,
Yeah.
very scary.
For you or for the kids?
Mainly for me, kids are kids. Yeah, I took it on. Acting with kids has a lot of rewards and a lot of challenges. You never know what you're gonna get. So that was tricky. But I had to sing. Not so much live action on the set, but I had to go and sing almost 30 songs that were written for the program and voice the cartoon character. And I'd never sung a thing in my life. So...
Never? Never? Can we hear this, please? Let's play this.
Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. I can't get enough of you, baby. Can you get enough
Listen.
of me? Can't do this to me, baby. Super trooper, let's gonna find me.
You're pretty good.
Nailed it.
You nailed it.
Nailed it.
But no, so seriously, so sitting there, that by the way, fantastic job. So you had to sit down and sing these songs, but it's not just, this is what I like about the show, it's not just a kid's show. You actually, this is proper educational in a way.
Absolutely. You take on a responsibility. You really do. I mean, you're a teacher in a classroom. That's heavy. You know, you had to make sure things were accurate, and there's certain words you just don't use in that setting. It's a big responsibility.
Like if you missed a take and there was did you go like, and there were 6-year-olds there?
I worked really hard on making sure that I didn't do that, but I did say and pissed off a couple of times, I'm sure.
At the kid?
No. No.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Are you a competitive actor? Like when you're sitting there and you watch one of the kids and the kid's sort of outshining you, if that ever happened, did you kind of give them the gears?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had a couple of real live ones.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were all show, baby. And I was like, okay, how am I gonna work with this?
Is that where your fatherly experience came in? Because you, not only are you dad of a bunch of kids, but you were a young father, right? You were like a really young dude when you had kids. So did you have to call back that experience?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's something I learned from my mom. My mom has always been a very youthful person. I watch her with her grandkids, and she'll get right down on the floor and play with them and just get right into their world. And so I guess for me, that was an easy thing to do with my kids and with these kids that I was working with.
But there's a certain anxiety or a certain reality when you're playing with your kids and you're watching them grow up. And then when you watch your kids work, for example.
Until you should decide to get married, you have to agree to be chaperoned at all times.
Is that all?
I think that's a sacrifice that two people who are in love would be willing to make. Do you agree?
I do.
I do too. Thank you, Georgie.
I'll treat her well, sir.
That's weird.
All right, that's enough now. This is my workplace.
That's your baby, right?
You are a sick man playing that for me. Yeah, it is a strange thing. You know, I kind of feel like my kids, I look at them and they seem so mature and poised and cool, a lot cooler than I am. I feel like I kind of stopped and I peaked at around 18, and they're, you know, growing way leaps and bounds ahead of that.
Have you adjusted to the attention put on you? Because it's one thing to have a good show, which Murdoch is, but then to have it on CBC, which is just a very different platform. And just a wider audience. How have you adjusted to that switch?
I don't know. I don't know. It's strange. It's strange. I've had a bit of a tough time. You know, I've had some conversations about that. You know, people have expectations of you, and sometimes at the most awkward moments. And you know, I've talked with a few people that have gone before me that are very visible, and you know, I'll never sort of forget the thing that you said to me one time. You said, you know, we in entertainment in Canada have a duty, we have a responsibility to give of ourselves. You know, the onus is on us to give of ourselves. We're being given so much, and that's something I'm never going to forget.
Well, listen, you've given a lot, and you've even exposed a lot. Watch this.
Take a look at this.
The new cross trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
That's incredible.
It's so hot. Look at this. We cut the inseam on the bias. See the way it complements the cheek?
What is it? What's going on? You remember that?
That was Rick Springfield.
That was High Tide, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason I know what it is. Who's that young buff guy?
Buffed it all out.
I have no recollection of that.
We'll be right back with Yannick Bisson. Coming up, what happened when Yannick asked for advice from old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra? We'll get into that next.
Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. For it's hard, you will find, to be narrow of mind if you're young at heart.
First of all, we're back here with Yannick Bisson. So there he is in the scene with one of the great actors of our time and wonderful, wonderful Olympia Dukakis, who's been on the show a couple times. And then the crowd parts, and it's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
You're in the scene with Sinatra.
Yeah, that was definitely a high point.
Did you get a chance to chat with him? Did you have a moment with Sinatra?
I had a feeling it was going to happen, so, you know, I was preparing myself. What do I ask this man, this legend? And it was a big sort of denouement, red carpet, the whole thing. And Mr. Sinatra, do you need anything? And, fine. And he had a cigarette and a scotch. I believe it was scotch. I should probably check that. But he was alone at one point, and he was just sort of milling around. And I sidled up to him and got all my courage up, young actor and everything. I said, Mr. Sinatra, I'm a huge fan, huge fan. Do you have any advice for a young actor like myself? And he says, yeah, this and this, they're bad for you. Don't do them. That was it.
That's it. Bro, he gave you good advice.
Yeah, it was good advice.
That's amazing. That's super strange, isn't it?
Very strange.
Sinatra gave you that advice to a young actor. Now you've had a lot of different experiences. If a young actor sidled up to you on Murdoch, and I'm sure they do, what do you say to them when they ask you, what's your advice?
It's a long road. Have a long game.
Do you get the same thing out of this that you used to get? You know, when you're young and you rush and you want to be an actor and you want to get... Now you've got the stuff that you thought you wanted. And once you're there, you know, is it as meaningful? Because when we interviewed Rick, he at Springfield, he had made this comment about, you know, acting and singing and trying to put it all together, and it didn't fulfill him. I think we pulled it, but this is what Rick said about that.
It's a very scary thing to me because I really, honestly, all my life believed that if I could just be successful at music, that all the darkness would just go away. And when I started being successful in the rush of it all, you know, I'm going, I'm right. This is what's going to heal me. And then about 5 years into it, I realized it hadn't, and it all came back. And it was a big lesson. It was one of the major turning points in my life to realize that nothing outside you will change you. Only your change has to come from within.
And that's Rick dealing with more serious issues, but it's this idea that you think you're going to be fulfilled, and when you get there, you go, oh, this isn't what people think it is.
Yeah, the hole is too big. You can't fill it. And there's no amount of, I mean, you could create Microsoft and you're looking for things to do to fulfill yourself. The same applies for show business, absolutely, especially as a young person, where you're trying to find your place. You're trying to find, you know, meaningful things. You're trying to make your mark. You see it so often, young people, you know, take a wrong turn, and this year in particular, you know, the young man, Corey from Glee is a very real example. I actually, guys that I worked with when I was high school age, I've seen on the street bumming cigarettes recently. Yeah. So yeah, it's a it's a tough road for anybody, but don't kid yourself. You know, there's no aspect of show business that's gonna make you get you there. I mean, you know, it's a job. You gotta work hard.
And it puts you in weird places. What stranger, watching your young daughter make out with somebody on set in front of you or acting alongside the Prime Minister?
Acting alongside the Prime Minister was very odd. I sort of expected one day I would see my daughters romantically whatever. Never expected to meet the Prime Minister. Never expected to have to say, action, to the Prime Minister.
There are many Canadians who look at him and want to say, action.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
You got to check this kid show. You got to check him. It's called The Adventures of Napkin Man. It's a lot. It's weekday mornings on the kids, CBC. Murdoch Mysteries is tonight at 8 o'clock, so it's coming up shortly right here on the Mother Corporation. Dude, it's a real pleasure as always.
Thank you so much.
Yannick Bisson.
It's so true. I've met Rick. It's just